Yeah. I love all bitches. Round, square, oval bitches. Rich, poor, slave bitches. Smart, dumb, crazy bitches. Rude, horny, dirty bitches.
Oh yeah. How's it going, guys? So, I have roughly a few minutes to make this video, so I'm going to try my best to do it. I have burgers on the grill that are grilling, and I have to be ready in roughly an hour to go to the gym with my friends. So, yeah, I got some time to work with. Now, I do have a progress video ready to go, but I'm going to upload that tomorrow because I think this probably deserves a little bit of a higher priority. As you guys know, the recent polls that did come out that are now over, I think there's new polls now on Old School, so if you guys haven't gone and voted yet, go ahead. Anyways, the last week's polls, or whatever, the last like 2 weeks of polls have been the integrity polls, and this is something that, to me, was probably the biggest letdown of the Old School team. They've done a very good job with all the updates that have come out so far. Every update has had really good balancing with other things. Obviously, as always, like I say, the Abyssal Tentacle and the Trident Staff, very good items to sync whips out of the game and to sync runes out of the game with a relatively good mage weapon, but shitty experience with it, so you can't really power train with it. So it's really balanced just the way it is. And countless of things like the bosses in the wilderness, and they're coming out with a boss that is sort of like the Queen Black Dragon. It's going to be dropping, I think they actually updated it from an updated staff or something, or an updated defender to helmet instead. It's going to be like 5 strength bonus, I believe, and it's going to also degrade. So all in all, they've had very good updates. But this poll kind of questioned me a little bit about them and exactly what their intentions were with things like this. And I'm sure some of you guys probably do this as well on RuneScape, and there's nothing wrong with doing this for some people that are just average players. I understand the reason for some people doing things like this, and I'll kind of get into it. And I'm sure you guys might have already heard these issues right here. Like I was saying, though, I do understand why people did this method, because you can obviously train RuneScape while you were sleeping, technically, and it obviously questioned this a little bit for players and people. And these are the results of last week's polls. I guess that is now over, so you can't vote on this. So if you guys are unaware of what this is, basically splashing is a method that it was always in Old School RuneScape, it was always in RuneScape in general, but it became a lot more used and more well known, obviously, once they kind of got rid of randoms in Old School. Now, this method did become popular once PvP Worlds came out. It wasn't as well known yet, but it was still used because in PvP Worlds you cannot get a random, which basically means you can splash the entire time without the risk of dying to anyone and continuing to trade mage. So like I said, splashing is basically when you are on regular magics and you cast, I'm not on regular magics, so I don't really know exactly what spell it is, but I think it has to do with the mind runes. Fire Bolt, I believe, is the spell. Fire something. It has a lot to do with the Smoke Battle Staff, and the reason it rose to like 8+ mil almost again. Not again, but it was near like 6 mil when it first released, and then, yeah, 8 mil here. And the reason it's crashing now is because of what Jaxus did. This is probably the only bad effect of getting rid of splashing, but totally worth it. So Smoke Battle Staff offers you free fire runes, and free air runes are basically unlimited. Not obviously free where you can take them from the staff, but unlimited while you're using it. Which made it so all you needed was mind runes and inventory, and you could technically cast a mage spell for as many mind runes as you have. And as you guys know, you just, put your gear on that you make yourself splash with. So you put on rune armor or iron armor. I'm not too sure what the negative mage defense or the negative mage attack you needed to be able to splash, but I think it's somewhere in the 60s. And I did tweet about this a few days ago when I was doing my farm run. I noticed how many people were doing it, and here's a picture kind of 69 favorites. That's a fucking perfect number that is. So yeah, and I basically just titled it Legal Botting at its Finest, because this is botting. A lot of people try to defend themselves and say this is not botting, but it definitely is. So all these people were basically either at work, at school, sleeping, or something like that, or just out in general. And they were gaining, I believe in 6 hours, it was said you get around 70 or 80k mage experience, and you don't ever have to click once you click on the chicken or whatever you're attacking the first time. So as you can see, they're all wearing gear that you splash in, and this guy's catching the fire or whatever spell it is. This guy's wearing the staff that I was talking about, the Steam Battle Staff, and so is this guy, and so is this guy, I believe, as well. Now, I'm not really too sure what the knowledge is of why people say this isn't botting, because if you're not at your computer for that long of a time, I mean, I understand AFKing to a certain extent where you go and get yourself a cup of water or some shit, or you get yourself a water bottle, or you make yourself something to eat, and you maybe, as you guys see right now, I'm fishing. Maybe if I go upstairs right now and I make myself a sandwich, I'll just leave my character to fish whatever amount of fish it gets until I log out, basically. So the most I can get is like maybe 1 minute saved of RuneScape time. And then I'm upstairs, and then by the time my inventory is full, or I just stop fishing because this place depletes, then obviously I can't fish anymore. That is, AFKing. That is not being a computer, but it's not to a certain extent where it's too overpowered. It's a minute of RuneScape you save, if anything, and sometimes you stop fishing right away anyways. And that's obviously with many skills like, wood cutting. If you're wood cutting, you click on the tree, then you go AFK for a few minutes. You come back, you'll probably be logged out, and you might have like 3 logs in inventory. And while splashing is basically you can just click on the whatever thing you're attacking, and after 1 second of just staring at your computer, you can leave for about 6 hours, and your character will just then log out. And I believe, like I said, it's 70 or 80k mage experience that you would have gained while you were gone. So if you sleep more than 6 hours, you can do it while you sleep. If you go to school for more than 6 hours, you can do it while you're at school. And if you're leaving your house, even just in general, you can just always do it because you literally don't need anything. You just need to get your gear out, your staff, and teleport anywhere and just start attacking something, and you can go directly AFK for as long as you want. So Jax has basically kind of fixed it. Now I'm not too sure exactly how this works in PvP worlds, but now if you are splashing in a regular world, I believe, you get a random. I think it will interrupt your splashing and you will no longer auto-retaliate, so you'll stop splashing technically, which does fix the issue, which is a great job by Jax. The old school team has finally stepped up and kind of fought off botting, I would say, because this is definitely botting like I just said. And then the only thing I have the question is, can you still do this in PvP worlds without getting a random? Because I know in PvP worlds, you don't get randoms. That's where I trade prayer normally, and I don't get any randoms. And I'm sure you guys have heard randoms have been removed from old school, but you still get the random. You just have the option to not talk to the random, or you can right-click it and then click on dismiss. I'm actually going to be right back. I think my burgers might be almost burning, so be right back in a sec. Alright, the burgers are good. I sort of burnt a tiny bit, but just the edges, but I'm good. Alright, so back to the video. But yes, like I was saying, my question is, if you get a random now, or if you get, well, you don't get any randoms, but if you are splashing in a PvP world, have they basically enabled it so you now get randoms? Because right now, it's the only thing I can think of that would still need fixing. Oh, right here. So basically, I just got a random, and I don't have to talk to her at all, but I can dismiss her like that. So, and she's just gone right away. But yes, overall, I am quite proud of the Jax team. Finally, I was getting quite annoyed with the fact that they were even pulling something like this. It does make me question them a little bit. Something like this should never have been pulled in the first place. This is more than just botting. This is like a laugh of botting because Jax is basically almost okay with it. And that's not even to mention that it had a very negative impact on the game's prices for things. And I don't know where the hell this is going. Go back. Okay, click nature. Let me just show you guys the prices of a few things that have gone down because of Jax allowing botting for a certain amount of time. So here's the graph of nature runes. As you can tell, they're might be going back up a little bit right now. There's a lot more people buying nature runes right now just because of the fact that they can no longer splash. And technically, Jax is the reason why nature runes are so low. The old school team is the reason why these are so low and not used as much anymore because this was allowed for such a long time. And I haven't really checked the price of bows and stuff like that, but I'm sure that it was a lot harder to sell bows as previous to like when old school first came out, obviously. But I don't know if the price has really crashed much. Probably not, because it kind of has to stay stable because of its alk value. But I'm sure it was a lot harder to sell bows, before. But yeah, I'll give the old school team a thumbs up for this one, or I should say half a thumbs up, because they technically have not fixed Nightmare Zone botting. I'm sure you guys know you can go get yourself full Guthans, go inside Nightmare Zone, pay someone to host for you basically, and you get like a really easy bosses. Just make sure there's like no Black Demon, I think, and then you probably won't die. And you can basically AFK for 6 hours as well. This is something that should not have been pulled, but unfortunately it was. It's kind of odd how they pulled something like this. It just doesn't make any sense. I mean, obviously people who do it are not going to vote against it. Why would they? It shouldn't really be directed at people who do it. It should be directed at people who could do it and don't do it, or people who just don't know about it. And the last few things, commission staking is now bannable offense, and yes, it is also bannable if you are, as basically a new method of staking for people is, I won't take your commission, but if you want to give me a tip, you can, fucking snake. And I will throw the picture here for you guys as well, as you guys can see. So Mamat K basically just, someone asked him, if you're allowed to do this, and he said, yes, you're allowed to ban these people, you're allowed to report them. But yeah, from now on, if you guys see someone advertising commission staking, as it says right here, just report them, and it says for offensive language, so make sure you do it for offensive language. I don't know how often these people will actually get banned for things like this, but hopefully, I'm hoping it works. And the last two posts here have to deal with gold swapping and untradeable items in wilderness. I don't know why they put untradeable items with wilderness. I kind of understand, I guess. Because at one point, for a long time, it wasn't like this in RS. But obviously, in the early days, it was. But I think it's a little bit too early for something like this to come out. And I don't know if it'll ever even pass anyways, because obviously, people want to PK with their torsos and their fire capes and all that stuff that they worked for. So I don't really see why not. And then the last thing is gold swapping, which it is an issue to a certain extent. Not as big as an issue as the botting that I see. The only issue I see with gold swapping is the friends chats that are open and they openly scam people as well. That should maybe be put a hold on to, but as it says here, people are buying bonds from old school GP. Since old school doesn't have bonds, people are swapping their money to RS3 GP, buying a bond and getting themselves their membership that they are paying for with, RSGP. So obviously it wouldn't be right for Jax to kind of stop that and then make it bannable, because then you basically, bonds will never exist for old school basically then. Even though they have talked about, bringing their own bonds into old school, which I don't really see why they haven't yet. I understand you can buy money then basically for old school, but you can already buy money for old school. You just buy a bond, swap it to RS old school GP, and there you go. So I'm not too sure if people have included into that yet. I'm sure people have already done it. They buy a bond on RS3, they sell it in the GE, and they swap it with someone for old school GP. You can still buy old school money legally. I mean, it doesn't really matter. But people, for some reason, think that bonds coming to old school will make it so you can buy GP. You can always buy fucking GP. Anyways, this video lasted a lot longer than I thought, so I have roughly 30 minutes now to eat and be ready, which I don't know if I'm even going to eat now, because I'm going to probably throw up if I work out on a full stomach. So, yeah, that is the integrity poll, I guess, that is now over with, and, one good thing to come out of it, at least, they did finally stop splashing from being able to be a way that you can train your magic, basically. And yeah, they also hit a pretty good point here as well. However, we think if that everyone could get 99 magic easily, any future updates to magic skill would be redundant. So yeah, that is very true. Though I must say, I don't think mage has ever been updated to be any different method besides high alking and, like, I guess barraging and bursting. And for some people, like myself, basically, we just do this. I just move this over. I haven't been doing this video. I've only done it 3 times during this video, but yeah, you basically just do that. If you guys didn't know as well, if you cast magic in view, it doesn't affect your fishing actually. You continue fishing, so you don't have to re-click on the fish spot, which is pretty cool. Unless the fish spot fucking appears. Anyways, thanks for watching the video, guys, and yeah, I'm going to ask you guys, if you guys made it this far in the video, were you splashing or are you still using Nightmare Zone Guthan's method? And if you are, then just tell me below. You don't have to leave your RSN, I don't really care, honestly. I understand people do it, I understand the reasons for it, but it's just morally not really that right. I get it, some people don't have that much free time on their hands, but to that I would just say, why are you bothering playing RuneScape then? Because this game requires nothing but time. Anyways, I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching, and yeah, as I said, tomorrow will be the progress video towards my max total. I've been making a good amount of progress so far. Been doing some thieving, I guess. This is totally my cue to leave. My herbs are done, and my alertments are done.